Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of January 2021. Not the craziest month as far as stuff, but definitely got some things, and I thought we'd go over them real quick. So first and foremost, there was a couple of things I already did videos on, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them. I'll just kind of quickly recap them. Earlier this month, I did a video on this. This is the Retro HQ game drive for the Atari Jaguar, basically a flash card that lets you play every single Atari Jaguar game ever made on a single cartridge. If that sounds interesting to you, and it really should, because it's really quite cool. Even if you don't care about the console, the fact that this even exists is amazing. By all means, go check out the video, and once again, thank you to Retro Towers for hooking me up with this. But, you know, like I said, whole video on that, so I won't spend too much time on it. The other thing I got that I also did a video on, as you can see right here, is a stack of these Retro Fighters controllers. Again, at the time I'm doing this video, yeah, the video on this came out only like a week or so ago at the time I make this one. As I said in that video, I was not expecting these. They just kind of showed up, but they're wireless modernized controllers for the Nintendo 64. Sounds pretty neat, right? They're pretty good. I liked them quite a bit, but again, I did a whole video on it, but they come in various, colors. They've got the original OEM's color of the N64 controller, as well as the Donkey Kong green, what I think Nintendo referred to as watermelon. And I kind of have this vague memory that I called it turquoise, but I kind of remember Nintendo calling this Turk Ice or something like that. But maybe that was like, it was the 90s. You could get away with stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, they have colors like that. So again, if that's interesting to you, by all means, check out that video as well. And you can pick these up at either Stone Age Gamer or Castlemania Games. They both have it in stock. So yeah, like I said, you already saw this stuff. So let's move on to new things. Well, sort of new things. I did get a few games, but before we get to that, there's a couple of random items I want to show you. The first one is not really a pickup because it's technically, I've had this for I don't know how long, but I didn't know it. Because my mother passed away last year, I've been going through her house, kind of, going through the process of like clearing stuff out of it. And I was digging through one of these like cabinets, and I found something bizarre. An original Blockbuster like rental bag. Like when you would rent something, you would just like, they would give you a bag, go home happy. It's like straight up, late 90s right there. It's in actually surprisingly good condition. I know we're not like collecting plastic bags. It's just kind of, I just thought it was neat, and I thought, because this channel is largely about nostalgia, I think people would just kind of enjoy to see that. But yeah, this, whatever. This is just a little oddball item. The next thing up, though, is actually not video game related, but I think if you're enough of a nerd, you'll certainly appreciate this. When this was first announced, I jumped all over this, or I tried to, and it sold out like instantly, so I never had a chance to do it. And then later it got, they said at the time that they would get a wider release, and so I was able to get the wider release when I pre-ordered that, and it took forever, but I eventually got it. And normally I don't complain about when stuff takes a while in pre-orders. I understand that going in, that it has a specific date. The reason I complain about it in this case, though, is because it was supposed to be exclusive to Walmart. That's why you got Walmart packaging all over this. And they were like, oh yeah, it's going to be exclusive to us, and this is when it comes out. Then at some point after I pre-ordered it, it was not an exclusive. That changed, and other stores started getting it before Walmart did, which I thought was really bizarre. But all right, so you're like, okay, that's great and all, but like, what is this thing? And now I have to find the most logical way into this box. I have the little cutter, but I guess that's not going to actually do anything because there's no tape to slice. Okay, inside, please be in good condition. It is, there it is. It's a transformer named Gigawatt. This is the Time Machine DeLorean as a transformer. And I love the box art on this. It's like classic Generation 1 Transformers. I don't talk much about Transformers, although they've been referenced. They're right there for the longest time. You have a PlayStation Optimus Prime and Mega Drive, Megatron. I've done videos on those. I don't collect that many action figures anymore. I used to collect tons of them. I've shown the Ghostbusters Ecto-1 Transformer I picked up. At this point, I really only care about like these oddball crossovers, but I'm also a huge Back to the Future fan. Like, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you've probably noticed, like, Back to the Future 4, like, as a movie, exists on this channel. I made it, like, out of Back to the Future, the game by Telltale Studios. I even got a thank you letter from Telltale Studios for making it. I even did Back to the Future 5, continuing their same game. So if you like Back to the Future, you can find those here. But again, I'm that much of a fan that I spent the effort and time to do that. So I definitely wanted to cross these two things over. So very cool. Although, to be honest, I'm just going to be completely real with you. The toy itself looks cheap. Like, even in the original promo photos, I thought it just looked like something that came out of a Happy Meal box, but like, whatever. I'm going to keep it sealed. I think part of what makes it so exciting is the packaging on it, the artwork. So yeah, that's it. It has nothing to do with video games at all. It's just pure nerdery, but you know, why not? Like, we're going for full nostalgia here. Let's put Blockbuster next to Transformers and the 80s. Like, well, yeah, why not? But anyway, on to some video games. That's what we talk about here largely. Video games, right? So let's move on. We have a nice stack of some video games. Now, the cool thing about this, or not so cool, I should say more accurately, I've mentioned many times throughout the history of this channel, particularly on this specific series, that I was once a member of something that a store called Best Buy had called Gamers Club Unlocked. Now, Gamers Club Unlocked, this is probably one of the last times you're ever going to hear me mention this, is a service, or was a service, that Best Buy had, where if you paid for a subscription of $30, you got a 2-year subscription. And for that 2-year subscription, you got 20% off the price of any video game. So if a game was $60 day one, you were getting it for $47. Pretty good deal, right? Well, that's why they stopped doing it. Anyway, so when they announced that it was, you know, ending, right beforehand, some people were able to, I don't know if they knew this was going to happen or it was just a coincidence or what, but some people just started stacking memberships. So they would buy like multiple memberships, and so instead of getting 2 years, you got like 6 years. Now, I never thought to do that, so mine expired like 2 years ago. However, I was contacted by a guy a while back who said, hey, you know, I'm sorry you don't have access to it anymore, but I still do. Feel free to use my account. And I was like, oh, sweet. So I've actually been kind of using it for the past year, not very periodically, and his membership actually is not set to expire until like late next year. But you're probably way ahead of me if you've been paying attention to this. There was one day this all just kind of came out. Best Buy decided they're going to retroactively cancel every single valid membership left, which I argue is kind of, that's a little shady, but whatever, that's what they're doing. They're also sending $30, basically returning the initial fee to every single person that still had it, so my buddy will get a $30 check from them. But he basically said, dude, it's going to expire at the end of February. February 28th is the last day of Gamers Club Unlocked ever. So go ahead, go nuts. So I picked up a bunch of games. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 by Sega. This was kind of a good deal, actually, because this is a $40 game. Best Buy was selling it for $30, so then you do Gamers Club Unlocked on that, and that's down to $24. Not bad, not bad. It's almost half off, like, and it's a relatively brand new game. It's also an Xbox Series X enhanced game. I still find it odd. There are not Xbox Series X specific discs yet. Except for, I think, one of the sports games is, but like aside from that, I think they're all just Xbox One games that have like enhancements built in, or there's some notation like up here where it says Series X in the corner that lets you know like, hey, this is, you know, enhanced. But it seems like such an afterthought. I guess they're, you know, Microsoft's strategy is a little different. They're kind of going for this like universal compatibility type of thing, but still, it's cool. This one's the launch edition. And it comes with exclusive content, a new add-on content, including 3 Sonic the Hedgehog item cards, official Tetris product. Cool to have that. Here's another game I wanted for a long time, but I never pulled the trigger on. This was actually originally a physical edition only for PS4 and Nintendo Switch, and was a limited run games exclusive. Okay, it was at first. Then Best Buy started selling limited run games stock. I don't know how that deal happened exactly, but they started doing it in limited quantities. And I almost pulled the trigger on it at that point, but then I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't, because later, a year later, the game got announced for Xbox One as a collector's edition that had all the DLC and all that stuff on the same set. And that game is Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. Now, this is the, like I said, the enhanced version. It comes with a whole bunch of DLC packs that includes Lord Draken, which is a character that did not exist originally, but retroactively they created a new Power Ranger that is a fusion of the White and Green Ranger. And as an early 90s kid who was really into the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I find that idea fascinating. But as far as I can tell, it's just like a big kind of like cool fighting game. And this one has a season pass and all sorts of stuff. And this was like $30 from the get-go. So again, 20% off, you're down to like 24. So not bad at all on that, all things considered. You know, when this was originally a $60 game for just Switch or PS4, now basically, you know, $24 game with the definitive edition for the Xbox Series X, which is actually, again, says Xbox Series X on it, so that's probably why. Either way, very cool to have that. This is another one of those exact same examples where this is This is kind of one of the reasons I kind of didn't pick up newer games largely for the last couple of years. Like, I got a couple here and there, but this is the prime example of why. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. Now, the thing with this is Mortal Kombat 11 has been out for a couple of years now, and good game. And they kept, rolling out extra DLC, and they kept, doing enhancements and all that stuff. This version is like what they call the Definitive Edition. There's actually 2 discs in here. One's just an install disc, and one's just the playable disc. And it's got like every bit of DLC built into it. It's got all the patches built into it, and including all the random characters. Like RoboCop is in this, Rambo is in this, the Terminator is in this. This is like a random, Spawn is in this, the Joker is in this. This is like almost like an adult version of Smash Brothers at this point, just called Mortal Kombat. But I like that. I think that's neat. But the fact that it has all these random characters and it has all the content on the same disc is actually what drove me to it. And now it's like a Series X enhanced version of the game too. This is almost like why it doesn't make sense anymore to buy new games right away. Like, just waiting, you get everything. And the best, like, this is a $60 game. Best Buy had dropped it as on sale to $40. Gamers Club Unlocked, bringing it down to about $34. $34, all the content ever, and really all I had to do was like wait a year or two, if that. And then I mean, this is a completely different side subject, but like, I feel like that's a little dangerous for the gaming industry to keep doing this. Like, people are waking up to this. Like, there's almost no reason now to buy a game right away. It's like, look at Cyberpunk. How much do you want to bet in a year there's going to be some sort of definitive edition of that game with all the DLC and all the patches built onto like an ultra HD Blu-ray disc for the Xbox Series X? Like, the original version of that will be a coaster. And so, like, that's one of the reasons I still don't have it. Just putting that out there. And so, yeah, either way, I got that, so I'm happy about that. The company that's the least guilty of this, though, would be Nintendo. So I did actually pick up something from them. I got Paper Mario Origami King. Now, I'm not going to lie, the Paper Mario stuff, never really a huge fan of. But these Paper Mario games do tend to get more valuable over time. Not that I have any intention of selling them, but it's one of those things where, like, maybe I'll want to collect for it later, and I just want to get this out of the way while it's cheaper, because that's just, history repeating itself. In this case, Best Buy had the game on sale for $40. Gamers Club Unlocked, blah, 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 $34. Not bad for an actual, like, legit Nintendo, title, Mario, no less. So there you go. And like I said, these guys, Nintendo's the least guilty of the patches. Not that they don't have them. They're just, like, the least guilty of, like, oh, we're going to release a definitive edition because our game was totally broken and missing a ton of content initially. But, yeah. However, I am a tad hypocritical on this because I also did buy this. Now, this is funny. I bought a game for a console I don't own. I got Spider-Man Miles Morales for PS5. Now, the launch edition. Now, there's like an Ultimate Edition of this, and all I guess it includes is a DLC code for the Spider-Man remastered game. Like, they came out on PS4. I guess they did some sort of upgrade for it. So why did I get this? Well, if my Gamers Club Unlocked, or not even mine, my buddies, wasn't about to expire, I probably wouldn't have bothered. I was just kind of waiting, but this is also a game for the PS5 I know I'm going to want eventually. So that's where you run the gamble. Do you wait, like I said with Mortal Kombat, in a couple of years and see if there's like a definitive edition or not? Not every game gets that treatment. I'm kind of thinking that because this is essentially a spin-off to begin with, that it's probably not going to get that same treatment. So I rolled the dice. Now, fortunately, this was actually a lower budget title to begin with. This was a $40 game initially. Again, Gamers Club Unlocked, $34. But, yeah, so I'm happy with that choice. But again, now I own, thanks to Lodmot being the other guy who hooked me up with Demon Souls. Thanks to him, I actually have 2 PS5 games, and I don't own a PS5. But nevertheless, I got those. So, very cool. Now, I've got one last thing. It is video game related, and this comes to me from my buddy Rob. Now, Rob is on my podcast. It's actually, if you're watching this video, my previous video is my monthly podcast. I put it out like around the 27th of every single month, and generally it's me and Rob talking about a whole bunch of different subjects. Please check it out. It's criminally underviewed. But anyway, so he's my co-host. So every once in a while, he just sends me stuff, even though he's not supposed to do that. In this case, he said he works at Digital Press, which is a video game store in New Jersey. And he found this like in their junk bin somewhere, I guess, is what he told me in advance, and then he just sent it. So I didn't really know what to expect. It's pretty light, but let's just go ahead and open it up. And oh, there's a note in here that I just ripped. Sorry, Rob. So let's pull that note out. We'll leave the item just in case. Okay, it says, Happy New Year. Found this while looking through the junk bin at Digital Press, like you said. I thought you might like it for your collection. Would have gotten it to you sooner, but it got lost when I moved into my new house. The man just moved. Thanks again for allowing me to become part of your podcast, and I look forward to continuing to work with you in 2021. Thank you, Rob. Yes, Rob is DLC for the podcast, so as long as the Patreon stays above a certain tier, Rob gets to keep being on it. That's kind of the joke that we have going over there. But anyway, so what's the item? Oh, it's a VMU. It's a pink VMU. Ooh, that's bizarre. It says Dreamcast on it. Right, okay, this is ringing a bell. So the Dreamcast, and I'm not pronouncing that wrong, it starts with a T, not a D, is basically like a Hong Kong clone of the Dreamcast that came out. I actually have one. I did a video on it like 12 years ago. And it's a very odd clone of the Dreamcast. It uses actual original Dreamcast parts, but it's into a new shell and has like its own portable monitor. It's actually pretty neat. Not the most well-built machine, not surprisingly, but it's cool. But I'm now just kind of remembering this because I wasn't expecting this. When they made that, they also made a couple of devices to go with it. They gave it like extra controllers. It came with some controllers, but I guess they sold those as well. They're actually Sega Saturn style controllers, funny enough. But it also had its own line of VMUs. They came in 4 different colors, if I remember correctly. I know one of them was purple. And then they had this one. I don't remember what the other colors were. I've never actually... No, I take it back. I do have a friend who collects these. He actually has one of them. He might actually have the purple one. But I'd never actually... Yeah, I've never had one of these before. So yeah, it's just a Dreamcast VMU, but like I said, the color is totally different, and it just says Dreamcast, and the logo is reversed. So that's very cool. That's just an oddball collection item. I'll put that in the case with the Dreamcast that I have. So thank you, Rob. I certainly wasn't expecting that. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it, guys. I want to thank, obviously, Rob for that. Please check out the podcast. Enjoy some Rob content. Thank you to Best Buy, even though they... I'm sure do not like that I'm still using Gamers Club Unlocked, otherwise they wouldn't be getting rid of it. Thank you again to Retro Towers as well as Retro Fighters. Everybody's got the name Retro now. Thank you to everybody who was involved in that stuff. Thank you guys very much for watching. You can check the description, hit like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, but also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, Discord. The Discord's free. Pop in, chat with people, talk about video games, whatever. Talk about general nerd culture. It's all good. Either way, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.